Good morning. My name is still Mavis Bates, and today is July 12th, and the time is 9:01, and we will start the Kane County Energy and Environmental Committee meeting for July. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen. Caius. Roth.
Roth here.
Strathman. Young. Tarver. Bates.
Bates is here. Thank you. We do not have a quorum today, but we will continue with our agenda. We just won't vote on anything. Okay, speaking of which, I don't believe we can approve the minutes from the last meeting, so we will skip that that item. Is there any public comment today? Okay, thank you. Environmental, Ms. Wolnick.
Thank you. I have a couple of updates, and then I will jump into the budget presentation. The first item is the tree ordinance. I just wanted to update the committee that we had a meeting yesterday to take in some of the comments that were received from the public and the committee. And we will be looking at some revisions to that draft ordinance in the month of August, as well as having 2 town hall meetings to receive some public input. And so what we'll be doing at the August E&E committee is presenting a slide deck of the changes to the tree ordinance, get the committee's buy-in to move forward with those changes. And then we will likely be seeing another draft of a revised ordinance in September with some additional public support as well as committee support, hopefully. The other item I just wanted to clarify on the vote for the sheriff's vehicles at the county board meeting on Tuesday. In our climate action plan, law enforcement vehicles are specifically excluded from that EV goal. But I would point out that Sheriff Hain has been fantastic in his progressive adoption of EVs. He installed 4 charging stations ports as well as purchased 4 EV vehicles several years ago. So we will continue to support the sheriff as he changes his fleet to EVs, but just wanted to clarify that there's nothing in the climate action plan that requires any law enforcement vehicles to become EV. So I will, if we can pull up the budget. Thank you. In your packet, you do have the New World printouts that the finance department requested that we include in our statement in our presentation today. I would just note that we have found some errors within that, and we're working directly with the finance department. And so if you have any questions about any of the numbers that are in those New World printouts, please email me or call me and I can provide some clarification to those. So what you're seeing in the slide deck is the actual numbers and any questions that you have as I go along, please feel free to jump in. I just wanted to present again to the committee, the committees that our department, Environmental and Water Resources, report to. The Development Committee is our primary committee, though that committee sets salaries as well as approves the budget. However, we're so deeply ingrained in this committee as well. We do like to present our budget specifically for 650, which is the main budget item where most of our sustainability and recycling programs come in out of. Our secondary committee is obviously here, the E&E committee. I just listed many of the items that go through this committee. We also report to the admin committee with many of our environmental sustainability initiatives as it relates to energy use here at the county, as well as the natural areas and including like items like Geneva Creek. And then we also report to the Ag Committee, and in our work in that committee is dealing with the drainage districts and the nutrient removal and efficiencies out here in Kane County as it relates to the Gulf hypoxia issue. This is our org chart, which has been updated with our new sustainability coordinator, Austin Powell, who we'll introduce in a little bit. So we're excited to have him on board and to be looking to bring more energy efficiency initiatives here to the county. I wanted to just jump in. I've followed along with the budget discussions at the county board level and some of the slide decks that were presented by the finance department. We've worked closely with them because there were some errors in what was presented to the county board in those specifically for our department. And in looking at the 2025 budget and the shortfalls that are likely to be seen in the budget committee that the county board is working with, we want to make sure that our numbers were in front of you and we're very clear as you go into that process. So the finance director had presented the salaries for each department from 2014 to 2024. I wanted to note that the salaries in our department before the equity study were actually lower in 2023 before that equity study occurred than they were in 2014. This is general fund. So it's a result of our efficiencies within the department, our staff reduction, and our reorganization. So I want to make sure that was clarified from what was presented at the county board and the finance director's report. The 650 fund, as I mentioned, is the main fund that we run our recycling and sustainability programs out of. This is a fund that was from the tipping fees from our landfill. The landfill is currently in the post-closure period and is being operated by Waste Management. That will continue to occur until IEPA signs off on the post-closure. So as long as we're extracting gas and we're treating leachate, they will continue to operate in that post-closure period, even beyond the 20 years. The 650 fund balance was required to be $4 million. This is for any kind of third-party lawsuits, gas and groundwater contamination, migration, ongoing settling, drainage, and leachate disposal costs. That was actually reduced when the cross-country course was built. However, it's my opinion, as well as our department's opinion, that should remain at the $4 million because that goes very fast if you have an issue with a landfill. So again, to point out, in order to maintain this minimum balance, we are using the interest that's being earned on the enterprise surcharge fund to pay for the salary, contractual services, and commodities. So when there's discussions about moving interest to different places, if we were not to have that interest in this fund, we would have to request additional general fund dollars to do that.
How much is that interest?
It varies. It varies so much. And that's why it's good to have the fund balance there. A couple years ago, it was at $6,000. And currently it's at $120,000. So our shortfall on average averages out over those waning and raising interest rates.
Okay.
The other item of discussion I wanted to just note today was with the budget committee and potential reductions to the general fund. So again, looking at the year 2014 and what our general fund dollars are coming out are for our contractual and commodities. Our total in 2014 was $7,800. And that supplies all of our office supplies, vehicle maintenance, fuel, and conferences, as well as maintaining the licenses for all of our positions. So you imagine that $7,800 went really fast. But under the leadership of Chairman Lawson, we were requested to reduce. And over that 10-year period, we have reduced our general fund contractual and commodities by 31%. My final note on this slide is that we would just request when the county board is looking at budgeting that there's considerations of these historic trends, such as our reduction in salaries over the 10-year period, as well as our reduction in our contractual and commodities and under the general fund of 31% over that 10-year period. As well as we also request that the calculations that are being provided for the budget meetings are vetted by the department heads, because we have seen numbers presented to the committee for our department specifically that were in error. Any questions?
Nice.
Ms. Lewis?
Not on the committee, but I think I am the committee today.
You're
I
not
just-
very member.
Can you go back to your last slide? Sorry. When we're talking about your conferences to maintain your licenses, especially since there's 4 of you that have to do continuing education and license and stuff, are you overspending that account right now? I mean, are we keeping you from doing the things you're supposed to be doing? Because I think I know the answer,
Oh,
but I want to hear it from you. I don't want to assume.
like I said, we have the costs continue to go up, and we have cut and cut and cut. For the number of folks that we have in our department, we can't, if something happens, our vehicle is from our vehicle is from 2009. If we have to even replace tires on our vehicle, we will be over budget. We have $200 for oil changes, maintenance, and gasoline for that vehicle. And so we are at the bare minimum. I have completely eliminated any kind of employee mileage. So anyone that lives anywhere in the county has to drive to the county and drive a county vehicle, because the mileage adds up very quickly. And so we specifically go out and we look, when we're purchasing anything, we're recycling. So we reduce, reuse, recycle a lot of our stuff to begin with, but then we're also going to conferences that are the least costly with the least amount of travel. So we're specifically trying to get, it's not the best conference, but it's the only conference we can afford.
But are you guys paying any educational expenses to keep your credentials out of your own pocket because of what we've done?
We are not. No, we're just really economizing the conferences we do go to, and we're going to the $50 ones, and we're not traveling to California to go. We're traveling locally, and we're going to the free or very low expensive conferences just to get those CEUs.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Do you feel like you're being compromised by not being able to go to the better conferences, or?
I think what I would say is that I just wanted the board and the county board members to realize that not all things are equal when you're looking at cuts across the board, and appeal to the county board members to look at these historic trends and what is actually being spent in these different departments over the 10-year period, and who has tried their best to reduce already, and hopefully acknowledge that.
We don't want to be punished because we've been frugal in the past.
We're frugal in the past, and then we get hit again. It would be really hard, because at this point we have so little in our contractual commodities. If I have to cut somewhere, it's going to be salaries.
Okay, and we can't have that. We can't have that. We have people in the room. We have ears in the room who are listening to that. So we can't let that happen.
So yeah, my intent today was just to make sure everyone is aware that there are these historic trends, and we are trending down in salaries. Before the equity study, we were also trending down in our contractual and commodities in the general fund.
So thank goodness we had the equity study.
That has definitely helped, but reorganizing and changing job positions still helped, because we're coming from a lower number to begin with before that equity study.
If you don't stop me if I'm stepping in the wrong puddle, but For example, Claire's title needed to be changed, right? For the equity study from coordinator to manager or something like that. Or am I wrong?
I don't think we ended up doing that. We had quite a few discussions with HR and ended up working out an equitable.
Okay, I just want to explain that something that happened was uh, like a recycling coordinator, don't confuse me with the facts here, okay? But, well, I'm just using an example. That was just a joke, whoever heard it. But for example, Claire's title as recycling coordinator, in some org charts would imply a lower job. Where
That's
Claire is like running $1 million business every year, so she should maybe be the recycling
That-
executive director.
That was the challenge with the equity study was using, we've brought along for many years these titles. And when you take a title and just say all the coordinators with that word coordinator are all the same across the board because we're trying to economize the equity study. And then you start drilling down into the job descriptions and the technical side of the job description with somebody that's never been in that position. There's a lot of explaining that needs to happen as to the breadth and depth of
Mhm.
her responsibilities is not her job description is coordinator, but it is well beyond that. So the question was, do we explain the extent of everything our recycling coordinator does, or do we change it to recycling manager? At that point, it would make more sense with the job description and the duties.
So are you now, what do we do?
I think we kept it at coordinator, but there was a lot of explaining about the
Okay.
extent of the responsibilities of that position don't fall under the other coordinator positions that are at the county.
Thank you. So everybody understand that?
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? That-
Right, yeah.
That title could get confused with, oh, Bill,
Yes,
Mr. On.
I'll make a comment on that too. We did it internally as versus externally and jumping on just a title to say, well, coordinator's a coordinator isn't really the proper way to do it.
Pardon me?
That just saying by the title alone that a coordinator is a coordinator.
Right.
I don't have the answer. I'm not a HR expert, but that's why going forward, we need to be strategic about here's where we are. It is where we are, but where do we want to go? And there's a lot of information changing daily in energy and environmental, and we need to keep up. And I'm trying to help with finding articles and passing them on and stuff because it is critical.
And I think this is a little bit of a call to arms for our committee to make sure that that we protect the budget for our
Yeah.
department. Because I think there's also some scale going on here. A department that has 100 employees could probably cut a couple $1,000s and not feel it because their budget might be 50,000. At 5,000 right now, we can't cut anything. Let's grow that. We better ask for more.
Well,
I'm good with keeping it flat,
Okay.
but my
Right.
concern is that the request is not going to keep it flat, is going to be reducing.
Okay,
some.
Well-
we're ready to help.
and I've been talking to Chairman Berman of the finance, and the original thought was they would cut based off of the size. So they're not going to do a huge cut against a small department, but we have 26 board members, and who knows where we're going to end up. 24, sorry. All right, see, we already cut 2 members.
A lot of
So-
people say 26. I don't know why. Miss Allen.
I don't know. Yeah, that was my mistake.
That's okay.
Freudian slip.
Miss Allen, please.
Alan here. It's just outrageous to me that we have a small department doing absolutely necessary work, trying to cut these edges when there are so obviously the larger places, the larger departments and offices where people can cover for each other. They can cross-train, there's a little wiggle room. This department has no wiggle room at all. So we need to stand up for it and try and reinstate that 31%. That's just outrageous.
It would be nice to eventually get new tires for our vehicle.
We'll try to make that your, maybe we can make that your Christmas present.
Maybe we should check at the recycling event and see if somebody turns in some tires.
Ms. Lewis,
So comment, but I will anyway, but then I have an honest comment. We should get them an EV, you know, for
well,
the county to show that we are EV friendly.
is
I mean,
this-
our environmental group has a 2009 car. Come on now. But that's my.
is this just
sarcasm.
Volt, the one you're
The-
talking
The
about?
Volt is under 650, so that's not being maintained under the general fund.
Oh, okay. So what is the
Okay.
one that needs tires?
That's 220. It's a hybrid. I mean, it's not a plug-in hybrid, but it's a
Okay.
hybrid. So it gets a pretty good gas mileage and it's good for, out in the field because we're driving like,
What model do you have?
So
we have the
Ford
Ford
Escape.
Escape.
Okay.
All right.
It's the only blue one down there. So water resource blue.
Water resource blue. So my other question is, with as much emphasis as we, as a nation, definitely Upper County, are putting on our environment and our need to change and educate and all those kind of things, not being on the committee, it's my personal belief that we have too small of a committee, but that we have too small of a group. Yep. I mean, committee, too small of a group for what we're going to be expected to do. Is there going to be any money in CEJA or any of these other environmental grants that's going to help you guys add some things or interns or outreach people or anything like that?
The large federal grant would add additional staff and work on many of those initiatives. So our fingers are still crossed on that one. We're supposed to hear in August.
Okay.
And I-
What
I thi-
about our current
I
stuff
think
though?
I want to just correct our Ford Escape. I think is actually a 2015. It's old. It's newer than 2009. I'm just going based on memory here, but as I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure it's 2015.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it is.
How
Yeah.
many
Sorry
miles do
about
you
that.
have on it?
It's 45,000. Again, I'm just think
Okay.
It's still a baby.
it's still a baby. Yeah. So it's not as old. Yeah, but it's pretty close to needing tires.
It's still original tires?
Yeah, those are the
Yeah,
original
you're
tires.
way past that.
Yeah.
But if we don't get this huge grant, is there any money in CEJA or any of the rest of these for other? Yes, oh,
So-
Madam Chair, could she speak?
No, that's me, Ms. Hinshaw.
We are consistently looking, I was actually, I was typing up a email to, Mark Van Kerkhoff and, Chris Toth at this very moment and our new grant coordinator or grant writer,
Mhm.
about one I just found this morning, through Energex. So that is something that is constantly, at least on my mind, trying to get that and also working with our lobbyists as well, to continually try to get grants. So it's a work in progress. And sometimes I get pretty far and I'm like, I've got this, and then it just doesn't go. But I also continually reach out to places like Elgin and Aurora to help because a lot of them are EJ 40 type of grants. And so partnering up with them.
Does
as we move
everybody
forward.
know what that means? EJ 40.
So environmental injustice. And a lot of the grants are targeted that they need to be at least 40% need to be in those kind of communities. And we also just had a regional meeting with, I feel like, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, about another grant with John Grueling as well. So again, it's constantly on our radar.
Yeah, okay, good. And
So
wait a minute, are our towns, Elgin and Aurora, are they cooperative?
Yes, I mean, we have people in both those areas that we are talking to continuously. When things pop up, I continuously send them to them and see how we can partner and how we can help.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
So we are not playing great expectations. We are kind of about the CPRG grant, but we're being realistic. And by the way, I made up a new word. It's very useful. The word is when if.
Mm.
So we're not saying when, or not saying if, but when if we win that, it'll be quite a game changer. But in the meantime, there's grants coming through almost a couple a week. it seems like.
There's quite a lot. And I'm-
So,
Since you cited a Dickens novel, I
Yes.
have great
Great
expectations. It sounds like the right novel would be Bleak House.
Bleak House, I wanted to say Bleak House, but I wasn't sure everybody would know what Bleak House was. So, yes, thank you, sir. Bleak House would be, in case you don't know, Bleak House is this young man thinks he's going to get this huge inheritance. So he just messes up everything in his life. But the book is so long, nobody knows how it ends.
It's about a lot. It's about a lawsuit. It's about a lawsuit that lasted for over 100 years.
Was it historical? Is that historical?
No, but there is a similar case, but yeah, the
The
plot,
book and the TV show is so long.
Dice versus Jarndyce.
Okay. So anyway, we're not doing that. So
Yes.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Shepro. And madam,
It's all right. I just also wanted to say that I am going to invite Paul Kofer next for our next meeting to talk about some of these grants that
who's-
we've been.
oh,
looking
that's
at.
our new
That's our
grant
new grant
writer.
writer. Yep.
Oh, excellent,
Mhm.
excellent, good idea.
Yep.
And I want to say, because I've got the microphone, that I think it's a shame that so much of our government is run by grants because it's a crapshoot and it's expensive. We spent a lot of money, doing the CPRG grant application. It's like playing roulette. And so that's my 2 cents worth. But in the meantime, we have to keep doing it and hope for the best. Any other comments? Mr.
Well,
Roth?
on grants, I mean, it is the game and what it is. There's a lot of government money floating around.
As
And
grants.
as grants, and it's a numbers game. You're gonna have to apply as many as we can, knowing we're not gonna win them all. But hopefully learning, because a lot of times it's how you word it will get you to win it versus not winning it.
Yeah.
And in the past, I don't think we applied to enough. And that's easier said than done because it's not easy to do some of these grants. Some are tougher than others and some are easy. And
Well, one thing we're hoping is that with all the effort that this team and our consultant Christina Murphy put in on the CPRG grant, which was I'll say it slowly, Climate Pollution Reduction Grant.
right.
So it was a grant to reduce climate pollution. That will have a lot of data.
Right.
We've collected a lot of
And
data.
hopefully we'll get up the learning curve. So it becomes, more cookie cutter. So
Mhm.
it's not a fresh initiative
But a lot of the grants are one-time.
grants.
Yeah, there's no
grants, so
cookie
you can't-
cutters.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, well, you just apply for that same grant again
Right,
because it
right.
might have disappeared.
And
But a lot of them is being made aware of them, right? Because we don't know, we don't apply if we don't know about them. Like, are we applying to I mentioned to Jody the other day, the Morton Arboretum grant for planting trees?
Y-
I
y-
don't know.
That's what we received on the berm work out at the solar field. Yeah,
Okay.
we received 40 trees, I think it was in
Okay.
total from them.
Because there was just an article last week, they're giving out up to $500,000 to county.
so, wow. And is.
And
Karen
that's being
still applying?
proactive to plant the trees and not replacing trees, but planting more.
Mhm.
And then I was going to talk to the Forest Reserve on the same thing because they can apply too.
Good, good.
And then we need to work with the transportation because we got a lot of land that could take trees.
Mhm. Okay, any other comments? This is a bit of a free for all, but I don't mind. Okay,
Friday.
Ms. Wolnick, is that you've completed your conclusion of your presentation? Thank you very much for keeping us apprised of that. And please keep doing that because we'll want to stay on top of it. Oh, Mr. Roth?
On the budget, is it page 11 that shows our total? Or I just want to see what we're requesting versus. what-
Yeah, this is, that's where the error is. So I would not rely on those numbers.
That's fine.
But for the general fund, it's in the, the attachments are all of our funds, but the general fund budget is page 3. And the total is on page 4 at the very top. And then it goes into our fee and lieu, stormwater, unincorporated stormwater. So the general fund that where the issues are with balancing the budget is that first 2 pages, which is page 3 and 4.
So our total budget
That's
is,
report 2 or report 1?
That's report 1.
Okay, thank you.
so 714,000.
Correct.
And well worth it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful staff.
David,
Yes, sir.
why don't you just make a budget request of $714,200 for the tire?
For the tires.
Well, I mean,
There you go.
Now our state's attorney is out of
Yeah.
order. What do we do?
Well, and this committee doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah,
authority
there was
over
a
our,
budget for the
budget, yeah.
tires.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Oh, I see what
I
you
mean,
mean.
the committee
Yeah, the
obviously
tires.
has the authority. I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't do it, but
Okay,
you know,
this committee doesn't have authority over our budget. It's the development committee.
but you can make a recommendation,
mhm.
or if you could, if you had a
Good.
quorum.
Yeah.
Why don't we do
Influence
that? Add in 500, well, 1,000. What do tires cost?
It's
lot.
probably, yeah, those tires are pretty aggressive, so they're not.
And
small
tire
tires.
prices and with inflation have gone up. I replaced mine a year and a half ago and they're where I used to get for $400, it's now 600. And a lot of it's the tax. and
Let's say
fees.
$1,000 for
I would
tires.
say $1,000.
So that would be our recommendation to the development committee to raise our budget by $1,000 for tires.
That'd be great.
Because it's for safety.
It is.
It is for.
Well,
safety.
it's also cost savings because if you wait till you have a blowout, you're stuck, you got an accident potential, and
And
the
better
tow
gas
truck
mileage.
and damage to the vehicle.
Make it so.
Well, I can't make it, so you guys need to
Okay.
make it. so.
Well, we are recommending it by consensus. Is that enough for you to take to the development committee and say,
Well, and Mavis, it's actually at a higher level. I mean, OEM reported that their average life of their vehicles is 15 years, which is totally terrible.
too long?
Yeah. And I think we need to have a best practice. What is, because it's not just the age, it's also the mileage. If you got low mileage, you can get longer years. But we need to have recommendations, it should be 7 years and this many number of
I
miles.
get it, 7 years.
And
or
that should be our
100 years.
planning, our strategic plan. These vehicles need to be replaced in 25, these in 26.
I mean, the sheriff has a regular schedule.
Right, right.
They-
But I think we need to do that across the county, and we don't do that.
Yeah, our Blazer before we got the Escape was close to 15 years old. And it was brought over to Kane County Division of Transportation and they did an evaluation of it and it got an F.
Okay.
At that point, it wasn't safe any longer. And so that's when we.
Right.
purchased
And then
the
we're
new
in
vehicle.
react mode and you
Yeah.
can't plan it.
Yep.
Now, and then the other thing as a countywide, are we doing consolidated, maintenance on it, whether it's part of the sheriff department or trans?
Yeah.
It would save the county money overall if we did that.
Well, and making sure that the vehicles were actually being maintained because that was an issue we had in the past where
Right.
I realized the Blazer hadn't had an oil
Oil
change in
change.
5 years because there was nobody responsible for it.
And you
So,
finally found when it went dry. Right.
Yeah.
Which there
Have
are
a
people that do
mechanic
that.
shop? Does anybody have a mechanic shop?
oh,
in-
the sheriff does, and KDOT does, but they're under their budgets. They're not open to the other.
And that's where
other
we, as a
departments.
county, have to see if we can do an intergovernment department agreement.
Who would do that?
The board.
Okay,
On the state's attorney.
But I think it needs to be one of the bigger departments pushing for that because I think like the state's attorney does their own maintenance too. And it's costing us more money as a county as a whole
okay.
by going to our own shops and not doing the proactive maintenance.
Well, you have lots of departments that have at least one vehicle.
Like 2 or 3, IT has,
They consolidated.
It's called fleet maintenance.
Consolidate.
and
fleet
you got to have a
maintenance.
process to do it because then they are, well, how do we keep control of that and stuff? But it can be done
Good question.
because
to
I've done
ask,
it in
though.
IT.
Pardon me?
It's a good question to ask.
Yeah, it is.
About.
Because it would save us
consolidate
money
fleet
over the long
maintenance?
run.
Where would we start?
I don't remember it ever being looked at.
I'd probably talk to the state's attorney and see what we're legally allowed.
Mr. Special State's Attorney?
Yes.
Take that to somebody?
I will take that to the state's attorney.
Okay, thank you. let's start
Or we
some,
could make it as a recommendation to finance as we're going through all these possible things.
That's
Yeah,
what
let's dump it on
too.
finance. They don't have anything they're doing.
Oh, sorry.
thank you, thank you. Mr. Shepro, let's put it in Mr. Shepro's hands.
Okay.
And do you understand what we've been talking
Yes.
about? The idea of consolidating fleet maintenance for,
Well, it's process improvement, which gets us efficiency, which saves us money and
okay, we could
Saving
say it
money.
all started in E&E, process improvement. Okay, let's move on if possible. Ms. Ryan?
Yeah, I have a few short updates, and I have a short presentation, but I'm going to present it under new business because it didn't make it onto our agenda. So
Ms. Ryan, would you excuse me? I desperately need a sweater. It's going to take me 10 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm freezing.
oh no.
They're very hot out there. Well, I mean, you could be in Houston,
yes, we could. Or Arizona
you know.
or Las Vegas, it's 120.
I'm like perfect temperature. I don't know.
They're freezing.
Happy to.
Okay, so like I was saying, I do have a short presentation that I'm going to give under new business. For the current moment, I'm just going to give a few short program updates. I don't have slides for these, but since it's top of mind, we were talking about grants. I just wanted to share that we're in the exploratory phase of applying for a USDA NRCS grant for compost and food waste reduction pilot programs. We're looking at partnering with both the Northern Illinois Food Bank, I hope I got that right, and also Aramark to do composting, food waste reduction practices in Kane County's facilities that are serviced by Aramark for food. So I have a meeting with Aramark this afternoon, and we should know, hopefully at the end of that, if it's a go or not. They're not massive grants, but they really do encourage larger partnership projects. So I think we need at least a couple of components to make it worthwhile to apply. So we'll know more later. Second update, this is just kind of an FYI. The department has its own social media now. Yes. We have launched a Facebook page and an Instagram account under the moniker Sustain Kane. It uses the logo of the Sustain Kane program as well. So if you're looking for it, look for that. We'd be very happy for you to follow the page. Yeah, and follow our Instagram account. We do have summer interns this year who have made some really nice little slide decks on Instagram for us, and yeah, it's been good so far. This is only about 2 weeks old, so we're still getting used to it. And we are still continuing, of course, to share information with the Kane County government, social media, and everything. We're not leaving them behind. We're just doing our own thing as well. So
Sounds like fun.
yeah.
I had a quick question on that.
Mr. Roth?
Will we be able to sustain that after the intern's gone?
We should be able to, yeah.
Especially since the name is Sustain.
Sustain, yeah. I mean, we might not be able to do they recommend when you're trying to build a following that you post at like daily. We're already not doing that. We're probably at a couple times a week. We might be down to once a week when it's just staff supported, but I think we'll
I
be
mean,
okay.
that's the reality. We got to
Yeah.
be honest,
Yeah. We won't let them go away. And last just program update is that the annual recycling extravaganza is a week tomorrow on July 20th. We call it the extravaganza because it's the event at which we recycle the greatest amount or variety of things. We're going to have 7 stations. It's the only event we have during the year where we collect styrofoam and bulbs and batteries. So bulbs, I mean
Fluorescent?
fluorescents, and also LEDs. And batteries would be all types of dry cell batteries, just no car or like sump pump batteries. And it's free. It isn't free. We're just paying for it out of the program, but it's free to the residents. There are some still fee-based things at the event, latex paint, there's still a fee for that, and a few other sundry things, the televisions too,
And monitors, right?
and the monitors.
But not all-in-ones are considered a PC.
All-in-ones are considered PCs and do not have a fee.
I've been saving some of them.
How much for the TVs and monitors?
It hasn't changed since we started charging about 5 years ago. So it's $25 for screens that are less than 21 inches diagonally, and then 21 inches and over is 35. And it's the same across technology types. So it doesn't matter if you have a tube TV, a flat screen, a rear projection, etc. It's always that fee. And there's no maximum. Some programs also have a maximum, like nothing over 50 inches, and we don't have that. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you. That's the 20th. Do you need volunteers for that?
I do, I still could use a handful more volunteers if anyone in the room is interested in helping out or has a volunteer network to tap into. You could just have folks email me, recycle at kingcountyil.gov is the one that is easiest usually for people.
Um,
And that's at the circuit court.
Yes, it's at the Circuit Court building in St. Charles.
what are the hours?
8 a.m. until noon. For volunteers, we ask 7:30 until noon, and they're usually there till 12:30 if they want to eat lunch.
There is free lunch?
Yes, there's free lunch and free light breakfast.
All right, excellent. Any news about recycling in the buildings, in our buildings? You said you had to talk to some admin or something like that.
I don't think I've had a chance to move that forward yet.
We made that one of our goals for the year.
I
so
do know that, yes.
Thank you, thank you. Anything else, Ms. Ryan?
No, just like I said, I'll have that item in new business.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, coming up. Okay,
Question-
Ms. Hinshaw.
Question, Madam Chairman.
Oh, who's saying that? Ms. Allen?
Claire, can I ask, I'm working off my memory, which is really dangerous, but didn't Mill Creek have like a pilot program for people to put compostable stuff into a separate bin? And did that work out? Do you know if people took advantage of that? Did 10 people take advantage of it? Or I wondered if that turned out to be an interesting program for people.
I'm fairly sure that all the composting programs at Mill Creek, including the initial one and certainly the one that we have now, have been what we call ride-along programs, which means during the yard waste season, which is usually first week of April through last week of November, first week of December, residents are allowed to put food scraps, usually vegetable-based food scraps, into their yard waste and just mix it in.
Okay.
Usually haulers encourage residents that are interested in doing that to rent a toter to put it all in, because the food scraps tend to be wetter. Like think of a watermelon rind, for example, is a lot wetter than your average yard waste, and they tend to soak through and tear the craft paper bags. But LRS, our current hauler in Mill Creek, does not absolutely require that. You can put vegetable food scraps in a craft paper bag if you so choose. The problem is, because it's included in the basic service, that ability, like anyone who lives in Mill Creek can do that. We don't know what the uptake is.
Okay.
We'd have to do like a survey to find that out.
Okay.
I know City of Elgin has a subscription-based program where their hauler requires the special rental of a tote to mix in the food scraps with yard waste, and uptake has not been good. I think it was 70 households in the entire city of Elgin, so that's not a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Question. In the past, has the county offered, recycle bins or rainwater barrels and stuff? Because it would be, where it's subsidized a little bit, or, you can get them for a discount. And it would be good at like this event that have them available for people, because maybe it would attract some other people showing up.
We do have a program for rain barrels and compost.
Yeah, I used
Composters.
the wrong term, so compost.
But we haven't combined it with a recycling event before. That's
Because you got a lot of
an
people
idea.
coming through, and if you advertised it that, they're emptying a car, so they got room in the car.
That's true.
Sell them, you can buy tires.
Well, that's why I said, keep an eye out on the tires coming in. And then the other, are we working with other organizations? Like I just got an email this morning from Stephanie Kifowitz. She's having a recycle event today and tomorrow down near Montgomery. That we could work together and advertise it and kind of maybe expand their,
Whenever a community organization reaches out to me to help advertise their recycling event, I do it
okay.
for
But
sure. But
this
one, I
is
didn't-
a representative,
Yeah.
and there again,
Okay.
it could maybe take some of the pressure of having to come to ours, because this, I think it's limited to residents of that area. But there again, if we help them communicate, they may get a better turnout too, which overall is good for the county.
Yeah. I guess I haven't proactively ear to the ground always sought out who else is having
Right.
events.
I mean, I can pass this email on to you,
Yeah.
and it's too late for today and tomorrow, but
Yeah.
for the next, I think she does it annually.
Yeah.
It's a nice Facebook post.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think
Oh, yeah,
once
you
we-
could do a post, maybe today.
Yeah.
On the Sustain Gain.
Yeah. Yeah. Once we get kind of more tapped into social media, I think we'll be more agile at that kind of thing as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm causing trouble, but
Not at all.
As usual. Mr. Shepro, please.
Yeah, Shep Rose, Special States Attorney. My memory is a little dim on this, and maybe Mrs. Allen could help. I have this idea that at some point, and maybe it wasn't the county, maybe it was some other agency like the Soil and Water District, that you could get a rain barrel and this tote thing. Yeah, either through the county or somebody that was, similarly situated. Okay.
yeah.
That's probably what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, and we should work with them too.
To the experts.
Yeah.
Let's let Claire look into it.
Yeah. The problem I usually come up with composters is I don't have a place to store them, and they're very, very bulky.
The great big ones like a rain barrel.
If the Forest Preserve is doing it, you
Well,
don't
while
have
we're
to
waiting
reinvent
to
the wheel.
sell them, we could use them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
If possible, to Ms. Hinshaw.
Good morning again. I would like to introduce you to Austin Powell, our new sustainability coordinator. He graduated from Furman University in 2020 in a degree with honors in sustainability science. He also worked in AmeriCorp in Northern California and also in Rockford recently for the Regional Planning Council. Austin is one that you can find exploring Chicago in nature paths, the Illinois Prairie Path with a camera in hand. So
Nicely done. Would you like to say hello or?
As long as the mic works, then yes, hello.
Okay.
Pleasure to meet you all and looking forward to work with you all in the future and now.
Thank you. We're excited to have you with us, Austin. Thank you.
Ms.
Thank you,
Bates?
Ms. Hinshaw. Yeah.
What's his role again? I missed it.
I'm the sustainability coordinator, so under Sarah at this point.
Okay. So what can we bother you about?
Mainly right now, it would probably be the climate action plan. Sarah and I are both working on the implementation process, both internally and externally. So we're kicking that off in mid-August. So that'll be probably the main thing to get in contact with me for those questions. and then a whole host of other things related to probably grants that we hopefully will get in the future. And also similar stuff like the rain barrel sale. That'll be a project that I'll be heading up as we move forward.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Bates.
You're welcome. Ms. Hinshaw?
That is all I had to say. So thank you so much. And I will have, we're going to have an update next meeting about the climate action, our kickoff meeting. So we're going to present how we're going to do that meeting and some more information, hopefully depending on the date, pictures from the event. So far, we already have 60 people coming.
You want to mention the date?
Yes, I can send the information. It's August 10th at Brewster Lodge from 1 to 4. We put it out in King County Connects and it's going out to the libraries and park districts today and yesterday. So we're really excited about it. And we'll present how we're going to break that down and how we envision it moving forward over the next 6 months or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know I got a peek at the outline and it's very long.
I
and
signed it.
detailed. Okay.
Excellent.
Update. Okay, and we have nothing to say about the CPRG at the moment, right?
It could be in our inbox right now. We don't know. Any moment, any day. We will find out.
They always announce on a Friday. Usually before a holiday. I would expect the Friday before Labor Day.
We're supposed to find out by August 1st, aren't we?
Hmm.
What day is this? Okay, well, as you can tell, we are crazy. We are crazy about this. Okay, the resolution will have to wait until we have
Question,
it.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Is there a time sensitivity to that resolution?
There is not.
Okay.
Can we at least just walk through it?
Do we have do you want to present it?
Sure, if you want to pull it up. So this is the similar as last year for the stream and rainfall gauges. The price is a little bit higher this year at 74,000, but it is the same ones that we've been maintaining since 1998.
Okay, so I am acquainted with these gauges because when I go kayaking, I look on the USGS website and I look up Fox River, Montgomery, Illinois, and it tells me the CPS, CFS, cubic feet per second. And I know that when they have the kayak race, if it's over 2,100 cubic feet per second, they will cancel. Somebody told me, Mavis, you can go out to 2,500. So sub-intermediate kayaker here. It's a tool that I use and I'm grateful for. It keeps me safe. And I hope I'm sure other people use it in the same way. So it's an excellent tool.
Is there a portal we can go to access the data?
Just Google USGS.
Yeah, I could send the gauges.
Yeah,
for
if you wouldn't
Yeah,
mind,
sure.
that would be good, and that would be good to actually put it in the social media.
We can do that as well. Us.
So it has a whole graph, if it rained last night, it'll go and then it'll come back down again. And so it keeps me safe.
It's also very good for looking at trends in terms of nutrients that are in the waterways and, if there's a big rainfall event and how those things changes, it's extremely useful in scientific aspect as well.
Cool. All right. So that will be at our next meeting. Hopefully this is vacation season, I think. Okay. New business, back to Miss Ryan.
Great, thanks. Okay, so I have a couple of, caveats before I give this presentation. The projects I'm about to let you know about, it would be funded through ARPA. The recycling program is slated to get, I think it was $286,000 through ARPA, but the final decision is forthcoming. So it might seem like we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but the reasoning for that is that there is an expectation with those ARPA funds that they are under contract by the end of the calendar year. And that cannot happen if we don't have a solid plan. So we're going forth I guess the other caveat is that we're in discussion with City of Geneva to make sure that what we're planning for the Fabian site is going to be allowable under zoning and our special use of the site as a recycling center. So it's actually zoned rural residential, so it's a little different. So the aerial you see right now is, of course, our existing site. It's, if you've driven by it, you know, it is not the most beautiful. I mean, no one really expects the recycling center to be beautiful, but I mean, this one really leaves a lot to be desired. The staff's primary complaints are the state of the asphalt. It's really torn up. It looks like the surface of the moon. And also the temp office. It's called a ground level office. It's basically a shipping container. It does have some climate control, like AC heat pump, but it's not the best, and it's real small and it's ugly. And other than the trailer, which eWorks puts on there to haul primarily the electronics, clothing, and textile, and then we also have a rented container for scrap metal. We don't have any indoor storage for recyclable materials, so we do sometimes have totes just sitting outside. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to so moving back just a tiny bit. We do have some existing concrete slab on the site in I guess it would be the northeast corner. The reasoning for that is that we operate a forklift on the site to load that trailer, and it's running back and forth between the office. So it's actually stored inside the east side of that office is a little parking bay for the forklift. And it runs consistently every day between the office and the back of that semi. So it would chew up asphalt very, very quickly. We are looking at expanding the concrete pad at the site to give the forklift a little bit more room to move. The asphalt right now at the edge of the concrete pad is a disaster. So it clearly needs more concrete where the end of the semi is. But also, honestly, these ancillary buildings, especially considering they're not really temporary, we're keeping them there for years, they should be on concrete. They shouldn't be sitting on asphalt for safety and, other reasons. So expanding the concrete, the rest would be new asphalt, nice and smooth. And then we're looking at replacing the office with a larger structure and a much more aesthetically pleasing structure. I have some cut sheets of my dream office for the site. And
Would this be more of a permanent building then?
because of the size and because it's kind of a prefab type thing, it's still viewed from a zoning perspective as an ancillary building, not as a primary structure. But it would be, you'll see, it's very different than what we have now.
Okay.
And then the other structure we're looking at building is essentially a 2-bay garage. 24 by 24 is what we have on here now, with a 4-foot overhang on one side. The idea is that we would park the forklift inside the garage. Forklift is pretty small. It's going to take maybe a quarter of that total space, and then the rest would become indoor storage. And I think one really important thing to recognize is I've spoken to this committee before about pending bills, which have since passed, that are going to make actually producer funding available for collection and recycling of latex paint and of batteries. And if someone came to me today and said, can Kane County become a collector of these materials under this program where you don't have to pay for it? I would have to say no, because we don't have any indoor storage at our recycling facilities where we can safely and properly store batteries or paint. So this would change that. It would really be a game changer and would expand our ability to serve our, the public at this
This
site.
looks to me like you told me to do this, it's not working.
Uh-oh. Please mute. Okay. And then, I have this little modular kiosk as well. And the idea is that we move the kiosk under that overhang. We're not planning to get rid of it. I might be able to expand it with a little bit more space and some protection from the elements. So that's exciting too. Other features, just briefly, we are looking at putting in a much better security gate. It would be kind of a yellow post gate, very similar to what you would see at a forest preserve driveway. So that, is more obvious to folks driving by when the site is closed, open, etc. And hopefully it would reduce any compulsion to want to dump things. We do still very occasionally get fly dumped, but it's not a major problem. But I think just aesthetically, it looks more established if you have a real gate. We're looking at putting in some landscape buffer, probably some arborvitaes, to kind of just shield the view of the metal recycling dumpster and semi-trailer, which will still be on site. And then removing a segment of the chain link fence that's currently there. It is, it's not in terrible repair, but it doesn't actually serve a real function for the site. And it also is very prone to growing grapevines. Every year, grapevines grow up along that fence and it blocks the view of the site sign, which people complain about. So that would be eliminating that problem. And that's the site view. And this is what I've been scoping out for the office. These are models from the same series. The top one is just to show a photo of kind of what these look like on site. The bottom one is a rendering of the actual footprint that I'm looking at for the Fabian site. Then this is kind of the cut sheet of it. I think the dimensions are 14 by 34. I'm going to skip that one because I'm looking at this floor plan. They make it available in a couple different floor plans. This particular kit is kind of sold as an ancillary dwelling. So kind of like if you're going to have a mother-in-law thing, but like detached from your house. So they've done the scheme here as if you're living in it. But so this is going to be a private office. So there's a door here. And then there's additional office or meeting space right here. There is a bathroom. We have to figure out how to make it a functional. We'd have to figure out how to make it a functional bathroom. It's looking unlikely we'd be able to connect this to city sewer because the main is very far away and possibly not in good shape. There is not a sewer main along Fabian. There is a drinking water line there, but not sewer.
Does that mean a septic
Probably
field?
a very small one based on the use. So, there is space for 2 staff people here. So probably the vision would be that I would move my base of operations, daily operations, assuming I can get phone and internet and all that fun stuff to Fabian. A lot of residents kind of when they call, they assume I'm going to be there because they're asking me questions about the site, which is totally normal. I'm the phone number for that site. And then they say, I'll see you in 5 minutes. I'm like, no, you won't. Unless they drive over. So this would change that a little bit. I'd be more able to troubleshoot, complaints and issues and just really make sure the site is looking good. And so I'd be in charge of it. So I'm excited about this possibility. I think that was my last one. And yeah.
Okay. Does job start at 10 or 10:30? Oh, excellent.
No, at 10:15.
I would just.
You know me.
I would just jump in and just add that our intent with the approval of the ARPA committee for these funds would be to bid this as a design build, similar to what we did with Geneva Creek. Because of the timing is that we wouldn't, if we were to have to hire an architect and a civil engineer, go through all the plans and then actually go out to bid for the project, there's no way we would be able to get it under contract by the end of December. And so we will go out with specifications of what Claire is looking for and utilize purchasing and the documents that were developed for Geneva Creek. And then we would take in proposals and review those proposals based on what the contractors are able to complete. And they would be responsible for getting all the building permits and everything else associated with it.
Thank you. Have we talked to the ARPA committee? Do we still have, what's
There's
the
a
cost?
resolution for this project coming to the next ARPA committee.
Okay, I'm on it. What is our budget for this? What is the cost we're looking at?
It was 286,000. Is that right, Jody?
That's correct.
Good. Okay, good deal. Mr. Roth.
It looks like it's a prefab, so a mobile home.
Yeah.
The old term. So that means more tornadoes down that area. No, just kidding. There is infrastructure over there because of the old jail, and because Roger gave me a tour over there a couple months ago. So you may want to talk to the building department and where that, to look into tying into that.
Yeah, the sewer was actually tied in over by the jail, and it's a long run for this.
Okay.
And
So
we're
it may
not
be
confident.
cheaper
Yeah,
to do the
yeah, it's
septic
cheaper. It's
field.
going to be definitely cheaper and more
Right.
reliable because we don't know the condition of that service. And
Right.
it's a really long service for this small of a use.
But they do have fiber over to there, so you could probably tie into the fiber.
What
Fiber
about a
optic.
well?
Okay.
Do we need a well?
No, you said there's a water main
We have
there.
water main right on the north side of Fabian there.
Oh,
Yeah.
but no.
Okay. Um,
discharge.
Are you looking at adding any other type of recycling? I think a couple months ago, I had talked about foam, styrofoam. And I know, you got the wind problem and stuff, but if we're improving on it, if we could get maybe a trailer or whatever, that foam would go into it right away. So it's not affected by the wind. Because right now it's very limited where you can recycle. And I would tend to guess that half of it gets tossed in the garbage because it's not convenient to recycle it.
Yeah. I think we could.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
And take it offline. We don't need to discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So much for coming up with this idea and, Miss Lewis, are you?
Yes.
getting
Yeah, I have
ready
a
to say
question.
Something?
Yes. So every time that we talk about our building plans and land usage and everything, Fabian Parkway comes up as potential, either selling, putting a building there, using it for
Like,
an Olympic center or something. Is everybody aware? Because I'd hate for the ARPA committee to put forth, $300,000 and then next year we sell it and it all gets knocked down or whatever. So is this all a part of those discussions?
That's why we're bringing it to the committee to have that discussion and make sure everyone is on board. But we are on the far west edge on a separate parcel. And so it would be very easy to disconnect this piece from any kind of sale of the main piece because it's not part of the larger, we have forest preserve just in the north of us. We're like a little leg off of the main parcel. And so any redevelopment, you're really not taking much acreage away from it to continue the operation of this site here.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Allen?
And Alan, and to follow up on that, there's just north of the recycling area, there's also land that has what looks like a whole lot of foresty stuff that is actually not part of the Fabian
Microphone, please.
forest.
Ma'am, microphone better.
Oh, sorry.
Microphone.
I'm okay. I just need to be closer, I guess. Just north of our recycling area is a piece of land with a lot of woodsy stuff on it that is not part of the forest preserve yet. So it would make a lot of sense if we were to separate the recycling center. We just draw a line straight up and then the woodsy part would be part of the forest preserve, or at least would be protected as well as the recycling space.
Did somebody, I didn't understand that. You want us to make the space of the recycling center larger, or?
I think there's woods that are adjacent to the forest preserve, just north of the recycling center,
Should be-
that are owned by Kane County. And so the intent would be to protect the recycling center piece and then deed over that woods
Okay,
to the
eventually.
forest preserve because it's contiguous with the
Okay,
forest preserve piece.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ross.
There's also a large storage building over there that is being used by OEM that's in pretty good shape. So I don't think anything's going to happen in the next 24 months, to be honest with you, on Fabian, because we don't move fast.
No, I don't think anything's going to happen for a very long time either. I think we need a better sign. Do you think we need a better sign?
I'm working with DOT Sign Shop right now to produce signs. It's not the one on the road. We just replaced the one on the road with it was basically a remake and update of the one that was there. So if you still don't like it, we might want to look at that.
Okay.
But we're
Not very
replacing
visible,
the
the old one.
on-site signage with DOT produced signs. They'll be the reflective like road sign material. So we'll have a better sign about item acceptance, a better sign about the site hours, and just with nice logos and everything, really showing it off. And then, we have a sign on the fence about fly dumping, which that's not my favorite. And we're doing the same for West Dundee. I guess we've left West Dundee out of this conversation a little bit, depending on the funding available. So we're doing the signs there, but depending on the funding available, and what kind of bids we get on this, I'd like to also buy a new small office for West Dundee, because right now these are rented and they've probably been paid for multiple times over with the rent over 7 years. We're not looking at this kind of thing in West Dundee. We can't actually expand the footprint there because we're, renting space essentially from the village. So it would just be another kind of shipping container size thing, but at least at least it would be property instead of rented continually forever.
Mr. Ross?
One other thing on the sign, maybe look at having an open part, where you turn it on, open versus when it's off, you're closed.
Oh, yeah.
For people driving, it would be, more visible, because the sign is not very visible. I drive by
Okay.
it a lot. And I stop there occasionally too.
Huh. Okay.
Okay, great. What's next?
Madam Chairman,
Who said that?
Alan?
Miss Allen?
can I beat the dead horse again some more? We need to protect the riverboat funds from being used for programs that are outside of the 3 E's. It's mission creep on the part of the state's attorney's office, and it's not Jamie's doing it. It goes back for years. But we need to try and remind ourselves that we must not waste our riverboat funding on programs that need to be paid for within the budget, the general fund, so that those funds are available for environmental, educational stuff that they're supposed to be. When we were agonizing over that fence for the solar field, that would have been an instant approval
Okay.
out of the riverboat funds. Things that you need for this project, if you want to plant some trees, and beautify the thing a little bit or fix that fence up, that these are funds that are supposed to be used for those purposes, and we need to protect them. We need to safeguard them. And I'm just
Thank
gonna
you.
keep saying that until we
Alright.
finally get it done.
Education, environment, and
Economy.
Economic.
Economic development.
And I've attended a couple of those meetings. We also tend on, like, for the nonprofits to give to the big ones. We don't give them a lot of money, so it's petty cash to them. And I'm pushing, we need to look at a lot more of the smaller nonprofits that really need the help. And it's all across the county. And that's
The-
something we need to
The
look at.
current setup, I believe, is about that we get the money from the Elgin Casino.
Right.
And about a third of that money goes for outside projects and 2/3 the county keeps. And way over $1 million is diverted from the 3 E's to go into programming. And we just need to fix that.
All right. Sounds like I need to
Think-
get on the Riverboat Committee. Mr. Shepro.
Yeah, Shepro, I would be careful about saying it doesn't go to the 3 E's. I mean, I think what you're really dealing with is an expansive
Microphone.
definition,
Microphone, please.
is an expansive definition of what the 3 E's consist of. I mean, if it really wasn't any relevant to the 3 E's, it wouldn't be a legal use of the money.
So he's saying that what I think he is saying is we need to make sure that the 3 E's is not expanded too much. Mr. Shepro said that this money must be under the definition of the 3 E's, but possibly that definition has become expanded. And maybe we need to, that's where the creep is coming from, is the expansion of the definition of environmental education and economic development.
But my institutional memory would say
Speak up.
that it is quite true that over the years, Riverboat money was expended on programs for Mill Creek and State's Attorney's Office and so forth. And, you know, at the time, I think there were opinions given that fit within the definition of, you know, that's provided for in the agreement with the Elgin Casino.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll just have to keep following up and Mr. Caius is the chairman of the Riverboat. Maybe we need to speak with him.
We can drag out the agreement and we should, but the way the state's attorney was involved in using that funds was that it was predicted that there would be people who would gamble and who would ruin their lives and their families' lives. And so if the state's attorney wanted to put together a program to help people with gambling addictions, then that would be a reasonable use of some of the Riverboat money. The creep that I'm talking about is how that paragraph has been expanded into numerous state's attorney programs that need to be funded elsewhere.
Thank you very much. Where are we? New business? Chair's comments. I get to comment. Thank you once again. Welcome, Austin. We are on our tenterhooks waiting to hear from the CPRG, but in the meantime, no Bleak House, no Great Expectations. We are continuing with our grant programs and just thank you for your hard work. Okay, may I have
You don't have a
okay, we will wait till next week, next
Yeah.
month. There's no executive session needed. I think we can adjourn this meeting.
Roth will make the motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Mr.
wait,
Roth?
wait,
Oh.
wait.
You can vote on a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
See.
wait.
Miss Allen?
Madam Chairman, this is Alan again. We have some goodies.
Ooh.
And we have 2 birthdays to honor this meeting. Madam Chairman.
Yes, I have a
Was
birthday.
just a few weeks ago, and Madam Chairman Lewis has one coming up in a couple of weeks. So we want to honor those. And I have another thing. As I was driving in and being late this morning, I was listening to NPR. And I thought it was interesting that one of their stories was that Florida is a state that just keeps turning down any money that the feds offer them having to do with trying to lower carbon emissions and trying to improve the climate and trying to help the citizenry. So they just say, no, 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 no. Well, 4 counties in Florida, which represent about 40% of the population of Florida, are coming together to make their own requests to get at that money.
Interesting.
I just thought that was an interesting
Thank-
subtext.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Second? Ms. Allen, would you second the motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All
We
right,
are
thanks.
adjourned for the month.
You have to have call a vote.
In favor? Aye. Thank you.